watching AYV Television.
Right, all right. Good morning and a very warm welcome to a wet and cold morning in the month of December. Wake up, rise and shine. Today is the 5th day in the month of December, and with 92 days to our general elections, this is Wake Up Sierra Leone, the nation's #1 program on Africa Young Voices television on Channel 33. Of course, we are your home of credible, balanced and factual news on AYV TV. As you all know, I all man sabi. My name is Dwight Neal.
Yes, AYV remains the country's foremost preferred station, keeping Sierra Leoneans at home and abroad up to speed on all matters arising. Now, if you're watching us out of Sierra Leone, then you might be watching us on our website, which is www.ayvnews.com, or you're watching us via our AYV Facebook page. I'm Antonia Howard saying good morning. Welcome to the beautiful month of December, month of celebrations, as I wish you the best of it. We are broadcasting live from our Wesley Street studios here in Freetown.
So stay with us throughout the day. And as always, you can download the AYV mobile app to catch all our programs live from where you are in the world, and also be part of the program simply by sending your message to the short code 4488 from any AfriCell line, or drop your comments on our AYV TV Facebook page to have your say.
Right, this is the voice of the young generation, and we are set to kick off the show. Now, coming up in today's edition of the program Wake Up Sierra Leone, the National Electoral Commission, NEC, ends the distribution of voter ID cards across the country. This morning, we evaluate the distribution exercise.
Well, volunteers across the country have joined volunteers around the world to commemorate International Volunteers Day. We ask, is this day worth commemorating? And President Ernest Bai Koroma has reshuffled his cabinet again, reappointing former flag bearer aspirants. What does this mean? These and more we'll be discussing today. To be part of the program by dropping your comments on our AYV Facebook page, or text us on the AfriCell short code 4488 to contribute to the discussion. We'll start off with our whole tips for today.
Number 1. Dried fruits. While it seems healthy, dried fruits like raisins, prunes and figs stick in your teeth just like candy. If you do like to eat dried fruits, make sure you rinse your mouth with water, and then brush and floss after. Number 2. Citrus fruits. Citrus fruits contain healthy doses of vitamin C, but their acid content can erode enamel. To protect your teeth, brush your teeth or at least rinse out your mouth after consuming anything containing citrus. Number 3. Alcohol. Alcohol causes dehydration and dry mouth. A dry mouth lacks saliva, which can lead to tooth decay and other oral infections such as gum disease. Number 4. Hard candies. Hard candy causes 2 types of damage in your mouth. They may crack your teeth, but also leave a layer of sugar on your teeth for a long time. This leads to acidity in the mouth, which damages the enamel. Number 5. sugary drinks. Soft drinks contain acids and sugar which are bad for your teeth. Even fruit juices and sports drinks have high levels of sugar and cause acidity. To prevent damage that sugary drinks may cause, drink plain water afterwards.
Top up your AfriCell line with AfriCell Money Service and get 50% bonus. For buy top up with your AfriCell Money Service, dial *161#. Select 4 for services. Select 1 for airtime recharge. Select 1 for buy top up for your line. Don't put the amount of top up where you want for buy. And enter your AfriCell Money PIN code. Not forget any top up where you buy with AfriCell Money Service, you go get 50% bonus.
AfriCell, Norway Network.
Leave a little light with Mercury. Let us leave a little light. Leave a little light with Mercury. Let us leave a little light. The lotto, leave the lotto light. The lotto. Leave the lotto light with Mercury. Let us leave the lotto light. Leave the lotto light with Mercury. Let us leave the lotto light. The lotto, leave the lotto light.
Top Rusty, my voice. Turn the music up on the headphones a little bit, man. Yes. Soundboy, you on the keys? Yeah, that's it. Bless up Africa. You know, sometimes they want to make us believe that Africa is just about poverty, diseases and viruses. But they don't talk about the good things in Africa, man. Wise up Africa. Send me say, oh Africa. Sweet, sweet Mama Africa. And this is the time we got to wise up. Together make we stand up, Let's stop the fighting. Come together in our unity. Cause Mama Africa is a motherland. Let's protect our motherland. Not tell me who made the guns that we use to fight each other. He's from Babylon. The machine gun that he used to kill your own brother is from Babylon. They turn around and say Africa we poor and we living in a third world. But when they take away our minerals, them not talk about it. No. Mama Africa, wise up. Babylon, them think say we fool. Make we just stand up. In our land, Mama Africa, wise up. Them politicians, them a think say we fool. Make we just stand up. In our land, yeah. Oh, Africa, wise up. Babylon, them think say we fool. Make we just stand up. In our land, Mama Africa, wise up. Them politicians, them a think say we fool. Make we just stand up. In our land, yeah. Before election, them promise we say they gon' make a change. After election, them forget we. And still now we don't see no change. All I see is my people suffer in Africa. Politicians they see, but they don't bother. Say me say, oh Lord, please save we from corrupt politicians. Jaja, please save we from them evil politicians. Them take them families to a foreign land. Buy mansions up in a Babylon. Them see foreign money, keep it in a foreign bank. Buy big mansions in a Babylon. So Mama Africa, wise up. Oh Mama Africa, Babylon, them think say we fool. Make we just stand up. Just in our land, Mama Africa, wise up. Me say, wise up. Some politicians them a think say we fool. Wise up, make we just stand up. Oh no. In our land, yeah. When Africa rising, they don't talk about it, no. Oh no. When we progress in our economy, in In a Babylon, yeah, they don't talk about it. All they talk about is negativity. In the media, all I hear is negativity. In the media, all I see is negativity. About Africa, yeah, in a Babylon, oh, yeah man, about Africa, yeah, so mama Africa, wise up, me say, wise up Africa, Babylon, them things say we fool, make we just stand up, in our land, mama Africa, wise up, mama Africa, some politicians, them and things say we fool, make we just stand up, in our land, yeah, oh, Africa, wise up, Africa. Babylon, I think say we fool. Make we just stand up. In our land, yeah. Mama Africa, wise up, Africa. Them politicians, them I think say we fool. Make we just stand up. Wise up, in our land, yeah. God, we say wise up, Africa. Yeah, man, wise up, Africa, stand up. Enough respect to all the African leaders when I bow down to Babylon, when I sell out. Respect to all the African leaders when them look after the people and not them pockets. Alonzo says so. Yeah, man. Wise up, Africa.
Welcome back. You're still on Sierra Leone's #1 breakfast show, Wake Up Sierra Leone, and you just saw Alonzo there.
I like that song, Africa Rise Up. You know,
exactly.
Very interesting.
Exactly.
But I don't have a good voice. I think you have a better voice.
I'll give you some classes when we're done.
I thought we were going to start it now before the program.
No, after the program.
Africa Rise Up. You know? It's nice. I mean, to rise up, although it's really cold and it was rainy last night. So it's a nice song to start the day.
It took a lot of strength to get out of bed this morning.
Especially for us, the married men.
Okay, now you can join the show by sending your text messages to the AfriCell short code, which is 4488, or drop your comments on our AYV Facebook page. Now today our quote for the day is from the 30th President of the United States and a Republican lawyer from Vermont, Calvin Coolidge, and he says, all growth depends upon activity. There is no development physically or intellectually without effort, and effort means work.
Yes, because if you don't make an effort, I mean, then things won't work out for you. And
Exactly.
if you don't work.
If you don't put in the work, then you won't see any results.
Exactly.
You won't see the change you want to see.
You know, some people just think that everything can come from the sky and can just happen for them just like that without working hard.
Yeah, so that's it for you this morning. You have to, put in effort, put in the work so that you get your results or you reach your goals or your dreams. I'm sure a lot of us have dreams and goals we're working towards. So
Of course. It just depends on faith, and you wait for your time to come, because sometimes people like to run ahead of their time.
Exactly.
So you have to be patient in life.
Right.
All right, then we start the day, and today is the 5th day in the month of December, and it's International Volunteers Day. Well, this day was set aside by the United Nations and annually observes the International Volunteer Day for Economic and Social Development. The day gives volunteers a chance to work together on projects and campaigns promoting their contributions to economic and social development at the local, national, and international levels. Well, the theme for this year is Volunteers Act First, here everywhere. So how important is this day? Well, this morning, to take us through this important topic, we have in the studio Samuel Turay, who is a member of the Volunteer Involving Organization Network. Good morning, Mr. Turay.
Thank you. Good morning.
Welcome to Wake Up Sierra Leone.
Thank you.
All right, tell us about this day and the theme itself.
Well, this day was set aside by the United Nations in 1985 to recognize the valuable efforts that the volunteers are giving out all over the world, not just in Sierra Leone. So normally every 5th December, we come together as volunteers. We celebrate our work that we have been doing for over the years and also try to encourage younger volunteers as well, and those who have not feel like to volunteer, give them the inspiration to join us. So this day actually was set aside, and we as a participating organization under the Volunteers Involved in Organization Network, which is VioNet, I am the founder and president of Sierra Leone Association of Volunteers. And of course, we have purely been working with local volunteers in various communities and more shanty communities that are poor, that need some for state development, which you don't need to call government to come in. And of course, we have been giving that inspiration to community volunteers in terms of maintaining safety and sanitary in their environment, and as well as helping the needy within their community, building bridges and other stuff. So we come together as different organizations to form VioNet so that we could be able to reach the farthest. Our voice could reach the least man so far. So that's the reason why VioNet is formed. And of today, the theme is very plain: volunteers act first. You and I have seen a lot of instances where we do not need to have a separate people call them volunteers. Everyone can volunteer, wherever they are, here or everywhere. We saw what happened on the 14th of August on the mudslide, and we saw the gravity of the incident. And we need not call young people to say, go and do this, go and do this. They went on their own, even when the rain was heavy, but then they went on the ground. They were saving lives, they were saving properties and those stuff. These are actual volunteers. Some of them do volunteer consciously. Some of them do volunteers unconsciously. But they are all volunteers. All what you're doing is to get the sense of awareness in them and actualize it in their communities so that they know they can call themselves a volunteer, not just in terms of disaster. It is something which is supposed to be maintained by their community, or probably some of us that have formed a network, reach them, inspire them, and try for them to maintain that kind of
right, I was just about to ask you how you get in touch with other volunteers and bring them to join the organization, because from what you've explained, it's like a few of you came together and decided to form an organization for volunteers.
Sure.
And we know there are other volunteers in other parts of the country
Sure.
who might not be aware of such an organization.
Sure. Well, of course, the dream came in 2014 back and when during the height of the Ebola. When we saw influx of volunteers coming from Nigeria, Venezuela, America, England, so on and so forth. And looking at the youthful population we have, looking at the energy they have so far, I mean, shouldn't we use them instead of having foreign volunteers? Because the amount of money we pay those volunteers, all the aid that you have been hearing over during the time of the Ebola, they have been funding this, funding this. All of this is being used by the same international people. But why can't we use our own people here who knows the terrain very well, who knows our forecast to be able to identify cases? We train them on some of the basic skills they need. So that is how we form the Sierra Leone Association of Volunteers. We actually form it and we use our own local resources. We and the fourth lockdown, which was on the 19, 20, and 21 of September, where we played active role in various communities. We identified cases and the stuff. And I believe with that little effort that we did, we had it in us that we could do more than what we did on that particular moment. So we came together and formed this dream. But the good news now is that we still have young people who are graduating from university, thousands of them without job, without not even seeing themselves employed in the next 2 or 3 years. And they have been the one to find us. We have people who are chasing out our page on Facebook. They have been the one that are calling our line to volunteer without even us going there. So what we have been doing have been seen very meaningful by them.
So is there no criteria for somebody to be a volunteer within your organizations? Because you just spoke about a broad spectrum of the youth society in this country, so to speak, people from the university and other areas as well. What is the criteria?
Well, we cannot say for now, in as much as we are encouraging them, we just want to have a school of volunteers. We are young people, we don't want to say we put criteria because we don't want to limit any people to from their inspiration.
But taking into consideration, you spoke about the mudslide victims, and we know typical Sierra Leonean, I mean, the way how things go, I mean, the upbringing of certain people, not just poverty, but you have some people who might go or volunteer into your organizations who might have alternative motives, so to speak, like you send volunteers to go and save people's homes or their lives in their homes, and they end up cutting away with people's properties. We saw a lot of that in the issue of the mudslide victims.
Sure. Well, to not to like a rigid criteria. We just register them, and now we have a database. So we know we are sending, and we get a database that even leads to where even you stay. So we could trace you, we could access you at whenever time we need, and so we have a terms of reference that also protects them as well. With regards to that, you know, it is something which when we started, we thought it wasn't going to work at all, because taking at volunteerism in Sierra Leone is a new term, and you know, instilling it in young people, sometimes it's quite difficult. We had this bashing and lashing in the beginning, but at the end of the day, we need not go again to tell them, you understand, to do all this kind of campaign for volunteers to join us now. What we do is that those that are coming from other parts of the country that calls us, what we do, we allow them to settle where they are, because we are not going to take you to in this community and take you to another community, except in a crisis, whereas situation happens, for example, in Freetown, where we need to bring volunteers to come, because also exchanging give them good experience. You understand? So that's what we used to do actually. So we allow them to stay where they are, and we form up a team for them. We provide training for them there, so that they'll be able to carry on activities. And when we have programs that involve all of them in, we share it evenly. We go to them various places and ensure that to be able to everyone participates equally. So
when you're talking about training, I mean, there are specialized areas wherein it has, in terms of disasters, wherein that's a specialized kind of training. It has to do with psychosocial help, and also going into places which are dangerous. I mean, so tell us a bit, give us some insight into what kind of training, I mean, you're doing, because if you're going to send somebody to a mudslide area, I mean, without you not having proper training how to go into people's houses or fire incidents, I mean, it could be dangerous.
Yeah, of course. That is why, as a breeding association, we cannot provide all the technicality because of the status. Our status, we are still going. So that is the reason why we form VioNet, because in VioNet we have organizations.
What is
like
VioNet?
Volunteers Involving Organization Network.
Okay.
It's a different volunteers organization that came together and form it, or call it VioNet. And it's involved voluntary services overseas, which we call VSO. And we have United Nations volunteers. We have ECOWAS volunteers. We have Pleasant Children's Foundation. We have Forum for Development of Young People. So all of us came together. And a day like this, what we did here is all of us put our little resources together, and every time then we go back to the field. So what we do to answer your question now here is, areas like such technicality, we give far to bigger NGO. We could be the mediator between the community and the bigger NGO, because we are all doing the same thing. So we allow them to come in. They provide high-skill training for them, for those that are graduated from university. And those that are not yet, we provide the skills that they require to give up their own effort where they are. So some community, you go there, you will think, you see the sanitation within this community, you will ask why. Because these very volunteers are very active on the ground. They are there to ensure that they maintain proper sanity. And of course, other areas, we have volunteers who are teachers in various schools who are going there. They're giving their self-service. And these are people who are giving valuable service to this country. And not just talking about self, we have countries that are growing rapidly, not because of their resources, but because they prioritize something like volunteerism. We have young people, instead of you paying somebody that's huge amount of money, you allow them to volunteer. The whole United Nations you've been hearing about is majority of the staff are volunteers. All they give them is little stipends.
About that, you mentioned that volunteerism is actually, well, you might refer to it as a new term in Sierra Leone, and it's quite difficult to, you know, spread the message and, you know, bring people to come on board and become volunteers. I'm sure that has something to do with the fact that they know that volunteerism is not like a main source of
income. Of course.
A main source of income. So would you mind clearing the air when it comes to volunteerism? Do people get paid sometimes? Do they never get paid? Or
well, first of all, as an association of volunteers in collaboration with VioNet, we've been trying to localize the definition of volunteers. You understand? You work with not expect to get a gain out of it. You are giving a valuable service, a first-aid service, a patriotic service. You understand? You're showing your duties as a citizen in your country, wheresoever you live. So it's not about working to get money or making it as your source of income or salary. What we provide is we help you with your transport, If we're engaging it for 1-2 hours, we provide your feeding within that. And that is one of the basic terms all the other volunteers have been providing. For bigger organization or global organization like the United Nations, of course, if they are moving into another country, it depends. It's different from when we are to when we have our local volunteers, because looking at other areas, providing your shelter, health insurance, and all those stuff, it requires a lot. It's similarly related to full-time workers, but not exactly full-time worker, because you are not going to be paid like a salary, but they're giving you allowances to keep you within that moment. And these are the some of the reasons why we are advocating, because we are now the main purpose of this activity today. It's not just to go and give speech like always and leave it just like that for once in every year. You know, we just come together and give speeches. That has no effect for the running. What we want to do is to ensure that we have a policy, try to advocate with government. Let us have a framework that protects and recognizes.
So in other words, Mr. Turay, you'll be moving one step ahead from volunteerism to advocacy. So.
Well, of course, if you have the volunteers and leaving what protects them behind, and there is the only way we can have them being protected is when we have a policy being enacted. The government have them in.
So
their,
without
in their
that policy, you won't be able to do advocacy. Because what I'm bringing this point is like now AYV was on the news yesterday. I mean, we're hearing complaints of victims of the mudslide. Some of them who are in Don Bosco right now, who are complaining that they've been given phones and the phones are virtually dormant. They haven't been able to receive what they were promised that they would be given, so to speak. So that has to deal with advocacy.
Well, fine. This is why we are bringing this in. Because, for example, let me just start for the initial stage of the flood. We had these people, like I mentioned earlier, who did the first service, which is the most important service so far. And at the end of the day, guess what? When they were forming these various camps, these very people who did the work themselves were left out. They were not considered. You were not part of those who are given stipends, encourage them, recognize them, and appreciate them for the first service they gave by saving lives and properties within that time when it was crucial. You and I we were in our various beds, you know, we were sleeping. But the situation was happening there. At the end of the day, when they formed those various camps in the hill station and other areas, these very people were left that they were not considered. Even for them to be registered, it was a crisis for them. You know, it wasn't easy for them at all. So that is why we are saying we cannot do all to have them safe without having governments come in. We want to ensure that we work with government. The government can include volunteerism into some of their activities or their programs, or possibly we can develop a framework that protects some of these volunteers, not just in terms of crisis, you use them once in every year.
What you're saying is that people do not have any regard when it comes to the volunteers in Sierra Leone.
Oh, of course,
whether they do it consciously or subconsciously.
Exactly.
They do not get rewarded at the end of the day. They go unnoticed. Their service go unnoticed.
Exactly.
And so now you're coming up with a form of advocacy so that a framework can be developed. So what channel do you plan on using to actually see this follow through?
Well, of course, the government has its angle. One, we have the National Youth Service formed by the government. We have the Youth Commission, and as well as the political body, which is the Ministry of Youth. And today we have them on the program at Atlantic Hall, where we'll be able to bring some of these ideas to them.
Tell us a bit about this program you're organizing today, because most times these international days, we see organizations, they just organize these workshops and these match pass, and after that you have maybe the ministers go, you have the guest speaker or the keynote speaker, and then after that you have item 13, and after item 13 everybody just goes home and nothing happens till the next year.
You see, that's why I told you we want to move from that stage in the beginning, that we are not going to be the same, continue doing the same thing as usual, where we come together, everyone gives speeches, presentation, and everyone goes their own way till the time comes back once in a year. No, I think that has not been effective. It has been a waste of resources. I see it in that kind of way. What we need
that is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, it has
because
been,
Mr. Turay, we have seen so many organizations, we've seen civil societies in this country who, when they started well off. Nice articulative ideas, nice vision. The moment they have had their policies and they start receiving funds from abroad or from the government, and then they turn into politicians, and then they neglect the people who initially they were fighting for. We've seen that so much in this country.
Well, of course, something like that, I have been working with a few of them.
Are you not going to toe the same line?
Well, of course, I've been working with a few of them. Of course, I maintain my own pattern. That tells you I have it in depth. You understand? It's an in-depth passion. It's not something, if I had wanted to do that, I could have done that long ago. But before, you know, we had these challenges. Of course, when you're doing great work, you will be muscled, wanted to be stifled by people who think that they could just tilt you, or could just put you at the back door and use you whenever they want. But you have to consider the passion and, you know, what you stand for. Identifying what you stand for can take you go a longer way. So that has been happening. I cannot deny that, of course. That has been happening. And it has been happening with people that you do not expect to do such. You understand? And some of them, what we say, we have this thing called watermelon kind of interest, you know. You have your own inner, you are showing us you false pretense, some of this stuff. But it's not happening here. It's not happening here at all. Like I told you, we don't want to continue the system as usual. We want to do a program that is effective, not just in terms of, not just in the day, but in the long run. We want to ensure that young people who attend that program at least have the inspiration and they are maintained within us, and also reach them, send them out as an ambassador, volunteers ambassador.
How many young people in Sierra Leone would want to what should I say, give up their lives to volunteerism? You know, because if you listen to the young people of today, if you listen to the youth in this country, they want to make money. They want to, they're looking for a means of survival. There's some who go a whole day without having a meal. And then you're trying to sell them the idea of volunteering, knowing fully that this is not a sustainable means of earning income.
Well, there is so much benefit when you decide to volunteer. I'm a beneficiary to it. And you will not know, or you will just sit askance except you get in. Then you will know there is so much opportunities. The world is creating a forum of opportunity for volunteers to access programs, just local and international. Even where you are, you can volunteer online, doing accurate work, valuable work that benefits others in other countries. But when you get involved in the volunteerism, you acquire certain skills. You get connected with people that matters in society and improve your lives. But you will not know except you join the whole system. That's time. I've been volunteering since 2008 to date, and
So tell us, what has been your experiences? I mean, your challenges. I mean, throughout. I mean, this period which you've been undertaking such a venture.
Like I said, the bashing and lashing, the initial point was great, and I enjoyed it actually. Never see that as a barrier to stop. And of course, overlooking all of this in a developed me, you know, mentally, socially, and otherwise, you know, and that gives me the inspiration to form even a group called Association of Volunteers, which has been providing services and forum for young people who are young graduates from university, who are with us now, who are giving services in the private communities within the Western area and even the Western area, urban and rural. And even now we are sending our inspiration at the provincial area. And these young people have been excellent. Some of them got jobs because of their excellent service and their commitment, dedication they are giving in voluntary services. And working with this NGO, they see them as a very vital force in terms of development. And guess what? They employ them in their offices. They are working. So these are some of the benefits you get, but you will not know. And then let me tell you something. In the university or the universities that we have in Sierra Leone, it's not just about theory at times. You know, having the theory coming on the ground, you cannot deliver. But you having the theory back up with the practical experience you'll be getting on the ground, it adds more value to you. It makes you, when you go to any place or anywhere to work, you perform excellently, and people ask you why. This is it. So that's, and volunteerism builds up your CV greatly, because I'm looking at some of the the advertisement, job advertisements on papers or online. You go to ask you about how many years experience and stuff. They don't care whether you are paid of those experience or not at all. What they want to hear is you have evidence to show that you have been given this kind of service. I have been being in this institution, working with this kind of.
So the underlying factor is one has to make a sacrifice.
Of course.
Which you would agree with me is very difficult, because now people just want to go through the shortcut and get what they want, and then they don't mind the relationship breaks up, rather than working or sacrificing for the long-term gain.
It's gradually changing now. I can confirm that. It's gradually changing. The point here is, what I will always stress on is, of course, we still have young, energetic male volunteers coming in. We're having lesser I mean, looking at the kind of the population we have, it's youthful
What's
population.
the percentage of men and women? I mean, do women volunteer more than the men? Or
No, the men do volunteer more than the women. Even this network that we have, we only have 3 women amongst us, you can see, and we are still saying.
Why is it? Is it that the women are getting married and they don't have chance to work?
Well, well, see, you see, there are little stereotypes that we still have.
I know. I'm just
coming out.
cracking
And
a
it's
joke.
like we need to break all of those
barriers.
Yes, some of you are doing extremely well now, excellently well. Your responsibility to
I
ensure
beg your
that.
pardon. She has already been doing well. Not that she's been doing
Okay,
well now, please.
okay. Well, thank you so much. But actually, your services that you are giving is no one will no outweigh it. There's no way we can. All of us have been seeing your great work so far, and we can say you are the kind of person we are looking for to at least inspire the others. You go to the schools.
Wow.
So many of young ones want to be like you. So it is something like serve as a mentor, source of inspiration to other girls. Not that they don't want to do it, but they don't believe in themselves that they could do something. Why? Because of the society we live. So we want to break that chain again, bring them in. Because guess what? The opportunity you see online today, majority favors female volunteers more than male volunteers. Wherever so far you go, except now we are seeing more female volunteers coming in the Middle East. They are taking action more and trying to, because UN is creating a forum where they encourage more of them to come in.
Right,
You see, even if some of them they are not too qualified, but they give them the platform and train them to be the standard that they want them to.
Right.
So we are moving to that level in Sierra Leone. So now we are visiting schools, we are engaging the communities, more especially the female schools, engaging them, whetting their appetite with volunteerism, and we are still having that.
Lastly, I think your last word. What's going to be your last word?
Well, what I would say is that I just want to plead on behalf of the association and on behalf of the network for government attention into what we are going to.
Which kind of attention do you want from government?
Well, if it costs them all the attention, we will appreciate that.
Government has so many things right now. They have a whole election.
Okay, let them prioritize. Of course, I know this is watering down
scale
to
of preference.
Yeah. We are looking, let them prioritize volunteerism, put them in part of their programs, and let us set a policy together with them that will be able to protect us as volunteers and those new ones that are coming in, that they will not be able to use when there is crisis. They should be utilized in the long-run activities.
What are you expecting from your fellow volunteers today and moving forward?
Well, the advocacy continues. In fact, the sort of inspiration in their various communities. We'll meet today. We'll showcase the valuable work to the new ones that we invited to come, so that they will see how the old ones have been working, and they will learn from that, and they will see how they can incorporate it and put them back into the community.
All right.
Thank you very much. He is Samuel Turay from the Volunteer Involving Organization Network, and he's talking about
the International Day of Volunteers, which is today, 5th December. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
And we wish you well in all your endeavors.
And we want to have you part of us now, working, and you'll be able to help us in advocacy. I think
no problem. You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks very much. We're going for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the distribution exercise of voter ID cards across the country. Was it a success? We'll see you on the other side.
Take a look around, tell me what do you see? My Africa, take a deep breath, what do you feel? Nature, take a look at me, tell me who do you see? A natural, African, my Africa, sweet Africa. Mama Africa, oh Africa. It's 6 in the morning, I could tell from the sound of the cockroach. My mama is up and the sound of the drums comes on. The beats are clear across the sky. Magical feelings, I no go lie. Sweet sleep was all I was dreaming. The hearts they beat for victory. Every morning when I wake up, God save us from this misery. I don't want to be a drama victim. Bring back our girls, Africa's needed. Oh, 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 my Africa. Oh, Africa. I'm Mama Africa. Sweet Africa. Oh, Africa, sweet Africa, Mama Africa. natural beauty. But many people are living in poverty. But who's gonna be the Moses? We go pull with our economic crisis. Let's hear it for A-N-R-I-C-A. Sweet, sweet Africa, A-N-R-I-C-A. The land where God don't bless it. N-R-I-C-A. God save our motherland. Take a look around. Tell me, what do you see? My Africa. Take a deep breath. What do you feel? Nature. Take a look at me. Who do you see? A natural African. A natural African. With one heart we can end this misery. With one voice we can make this history. Africa, let's unite and stand. Till united we stand, and divided we will fall. Now me and you get for end this misery. Together we go make this history. Africa, let's unite and stand. Till united we stand, and divided we go fall. We had stay beat for victory. Every morning when I wake up, God save us from this misery. I don't wanna be a drama victim. Bring back a girl, some makers crying. Oh, 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 my Africa. Oh, Africa. My Africa. Sweet Africa. Africa. My Africa. Africa. My Africa. Sweet, sweet Mama Salone. Oh, sweet Africa. Sweet, sweet Sierra Leone. My Africa. Sweet, sweet Mama Salone. Oh, sweet Africa. Sweet, sweet Mama Salone.
Welcome back. You're watching Wake Up Sierra Leone on Africa Young Voices Television. Remember to send your text messages to the AfriCell short code, which is 4488, or drop your comments on our AYV Facebook page to have your voice heard on the issues we're discussing. Now moving on, the National Electoral Commission, NEC, has ended a week-long distribution of voter registration ID cards across the country. Now, despite there have been lots of errors on the ID cards, which mainly include mistakes of names, place of birth, date of birth, year of birth, female names on the male pictures, and other issues. Now, this morning we're asking, how successful was this distribution process? What is the fate of those who have errors on their ID cards? Well, this morning, to answer these questions, we have been joined in the studio by Christopher Jones, Electoral Officer at the National Elections Commission. Good morning and welcome to Wake Up Sierra Leone.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, the distribution process ended yesterday, which was the 4th of December. Do you have figures as to how many people showed up to collect their ID cards as of yet, or have you not collected that information?
Figures were sent to the Commission daily. We are yet to get the figures for yesterday, the cumulative for the 1 week distribution. But I will say ID cards for over 2 million people were distributed within this period, and the Commission appreciated so much for those registrants who turn up to pick up their voter ID card. They have demonstrated their rights, their franchise, and as such have made their own contribution to the development of our country.
Now, as to those who picked up their ID cards and found out there were errors on those ID cards, what would be the way forward for them?
These are what we call challenges within the process. If you have a footless photo, you fill the attestation form that was done, and the image of the person was recaptured, the Commission will endeavor to prepare another voter ID card for the
people not going to go out for collect the voter ID card, then are different.
Or if the person is not around, that attestation form issued to that person, it is easy to go to the polling station only for the election. But
And
all
say,
other corrections
people not going to go out.
names, sex, we have crossed that stage. We have finished exhibition process. Election is a process, and for every process we have activity. We are issuing out voter ID card. If we have an exceptional case, footless for 2, mismatch for 2.
So the only incident or the only error the commission will be taking into consideration is one that has to do with a missing photo or a mismatched photo.
Exactly so. Spellings, wrong names, we have crossed that stage. That was the time for exhibition process. Since we have crossed that exhibition process, we are not making any correction this time. We have crossed that stage, we have issued voter ID cards, and we have closed that. It closed down yesterday at 5 p.m. We're moving forward.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, please.
How can you say that you're not making correction at any time when you only gave people just 1 week, to go and collect your voter ID card? It happened also in the issue of the
exhibition.
Exhibition, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. When you gave only 3 days, and now you're saying you will no longer accept other issues. Isn't that not disenfranchising our voters in this country? Because you yourself have mentioned this morning, the last time your executive secretary was there, you're expecting 3.1 million people who had registered. So you have with you 3.1 million voter ID cards, and you've told us that it's only 2 million people who have collected the ID cards. We have another 1 million.
Call it a day. Elections are conducted in this country for just a day. People turn out and vote. Election is time-bound. And because it's time-bound, we have series of activities unfolding. We have completed exhibition process. We are not going back to it. We are not going back to that one. Issuance of voter ID card, we have distributed over 2 million voter ID cards. And we'll continue to distribute voter ID cards at the district office. If you have mistakes, you should have done that in the exhibition process. We are not doing any correction at this point in time. We are issuing out voter ID card, and I want to maintain that. We want to
so
maintain
in Freetown, you will not issue ID cards. and try to be flexible just at the district level. Is that what you're saying?
We issue out voter ID cards will be distributed at the district level, at the district offices. We have district offices in all the districts. If you go there, starting from today, you can get your voter ID card, and that will be ongoing. But we have closed down distribution centers. 3,300 centers have closed since today at 5 p.m. And we are done with that.
All right, but you're saying that you will not look into issues in the Western area with regards to mistakes which were made. You're already done with that. It is time bound. But we also understand that you have been making certain, helping certain sections of the public, so to speak, certain high-profile people who had mistakes in their voter ID card, i.e., so to speak, the wife of one of the big political flag bearers in this country.
I would love you to state the instances. I would love you to tell us where and how.
I'm putting it to you, Mr. Jones, that you have certain people who you are giving preferential treatment.
I am telling you authoritatively that the commission will not bend down.
At Jumba Lumley, there's a flag bearer there whose wife's picture had a problem.
The white you are saying something you cannot testify, which cannot prove beyond reasonable doubt. I'm telling you authoritatively, the commission will not bend down. The commission has completed that process of corrections. What we are doing now, we have also completed issuance of voter ID card at centers. You go to the district office, you get a voter ID card.
Now,
we are moving forward and we are not going backwards. Election is time-bound. Election is a process, and within the process, we have activities
initially,
unfolding.
you mentioned that the commission will make provisions for those who have issues with the picture on their ID card.
Yes. That's a different scenario. We call that exceptional case. A scenario was developed for that.
But that's what I'm asking.
And we have caused that stage you are in. You go to collect your voter ID card, you realize that it has no photo. We call that photoless. Your image will be captured. Just the image. Other information that you gave to us are still there.
Okay.
So we will fix that up. But we will not correct your wrong spelling. No. And nobody will force the commission to do that.
Does that only apply to a photoless ID card or an ID card with a photo, but it's the wrong photo?
Photoless mismatch. Dwight collected his ID card. He realizes that instead of Dwight's image, it is Salimato's image. That we can correct, but Dwight's information is there. His Dwight Neal, his date of birth is there, his address is there. We are not correcting all that information rather than fixing up images.
When you say you're not collecting others' information, what do you mean? Can you specify, please?
It means if your name is wrongly spelled, you should have done that in the exhibition process. We are not correcting that.
Okay. What about those who were not able to correct their ID cards within this 1 week specified, period? Are they still eligible to collect it, or on the day of voting, will they be able to vote irrespective of the fact that they haven't collected the ID card?
If you have not collected a voter ID card, go to the district office. AYV is at Wesley Street. Those living within Wesley Street can go to 39 General Wright Road and Upgon and pick up their voter ID card at the district office. We are not interested in disenfranchising people. It's your right. That right was given to people by the 1999 Constitution, your right to vote. That's why we came out and telling people, go and pick up your voter ID card. That's your passport.
But when people were
I don't know if you have done yours.
Excuse me, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, can you just come to the questions? I know you.
I've answered your questions.
No, excuse me.
Yes,
now,
please.
the time of registration, you did extend the time for people to register. Is that not so?
Yes.
Fine. So, if some certain people are not able to collect their ID cards, why can't NEC extend the time a little bit so people can collect their ID cards? You're saying to go to General Wright Road. How many people will get the information if not so AYB and other media? Excuse me, for other media houses. How would you go about to sensitize the public about some mass media houses asking you questions for them to know that they should go to General Wright Road?
We have been seeing that. Dwight, can you pay the bills? If we ask for 10 more days, can you pay the bills?
So is this a point?
It is out of the electoral timeline.
So, Mr. Jones, are you trying to say that just because in this particular elections, because in past elections, everything was funded by the international community, under the APC government, you are seeing that we in Sierra Leone have started funding our elections. And we all know that the NEC is having challenges with regards to funding. We just understood the other day that now the Minister of Finance has asked you to be accountable, provide your accounts so that they can know if you are transparent. So is it that you're trying to put the blame on the government, that the government is not funding you? That is why you cannot do some of the things you're supposed to do as a commission?
All what we are supposed to do, we are going to do it within the time.
Within the time and the money available.
You have said.
I'm asking you the question. Can you answer the question?
Explain this to you,
yes, yes.
The people are viewing the program. They want to understand the position of NEC. We are organizing election within time bound. 7th of March is election. After issuance of voter ID card, what next? It's nomination.
But
Parliament dissolves itself. I'm coming. Parliament dissolves itself from the 7th. So if we keep on issuing voter ID card at the district within the ward, no, you go to the district office and pick up your voter ID.
When the suggestion was made about extending the time, extending the period within which people can collect their voter ID cards, you didn't mention the period of elections or the time within which the elections activities should take place. You mentioned funding. So it raises the questions about whether it is because NEC lacks enough funding to, actually extend the process and see that each citizen is not disenfranchised.
That is just one factor. But
will you admit that funding is one of the main factors?
You are saying it. We are not extending the time because of just one factor. We have series of things that we take into consideration. Election is time bound. Think about it. If we keep on extending the time, when will we have nomination?
But if people do not pick up their ID card, then what are you holding elections for? Who is going to vote?
You have 1 million people who have not collected the ID cards.
We have distributed voter ID cards for over 2 million people. And we continue to distribute voter ID cards.
We have 3.1 million people who are expected
to
vote.
We have 3,178,663.
Approximately.
I'm not approximating. I'm giving you the figures.
Okay.
Authoritatively, right? It's 3,178,663 registered voters. We have distributed voter ID cards for over 2 million people. We continue to distribute voter ID card. This time, go to the district office and pick up a voter ID card. Amidst the voter ID card we have distributed, which I have mine proudly, I'm keeping it because it's my passport to vote. The law says in section 41 of the Public Elections Act, if you are unable to pick up a voter ID card, if you misplace a voter ID card, you still have the chance to express your franchise. That's the commission. We are guided by the legal framework. Section 41, I don't have a voter ID card. I've misplaced it. I still have to go to the police station, state my name. The presiding officer has the obligation to allow me to vote. It's within the law. But for now, we'll distribute voter ID cards at the district office. And we have district office at all the districts in Sierra Leone.
So you're saying that you're satisfied with the 2 million people that have collected their ID cards. You're okay with that?
Very successful distribution. The commission so appreciate it. We have got over 2 million people. And others will go to the district office and pick up their voter ID cards. Let's respect time. For a television program, there's a time for it. Okay. Everything has time. Election is time bound. Amidst other challenges.
Our reporter yesterday, I hope we can be able to play, that clip in this session quickly, wherein our reporter, Swahilo Vandi, went to some of the centers and you see a whole box of ID cards there and people have not, gone to collect their ID cards, and here you are telling us that it is successful.
Yes, it's successful. Come on, Dwight. 3,300 centers were open simultaneously. All functions well. At the end of the day, we were able to distribute over 2 million voter ID cards. We should start crying? No. We should be happy for that.
But you yourself are...
And we continue to distribute voter ID cards at the district office. That is what you don't want to accept. But I'm telling you, we continue to distribute voter ID cards at the district office.
Okay.
We are moving on.
Now we are moving on. What about on the day of voting day when people will not have their voter ID cards, the final registry book, when you will go with your voter ID card and you will put your ID card and they will check for your name? Because we've had challenges. You have had challenges. From the start of this whole election, from being invited to parliament so many times, the amalgamation and the amalgamation, exercise of two or other districts. We've had issues of ID cards, issues of registration, issues of funding, so many challenges in this election. So on the final day, how can you assure the people of this country that there won't be mistakes in names or people's names will be on the register and nobody would not be able to vote because you go to this polling center and that one and the other one and then you can't find your name?
Right, so all the challenges. We said that voter registration, we completed it. That's why the challenge. Move on to exhibition. That's why the challenge. We completed.
And you're satisfied. We have 7 million. We have 7 million people in this country and you say you are satisfied.
We are not talking about 7 million. We are talking about registered voter, 3,178,663 registered voters. What we take into consideration. We're not talking about the total population of the country. We are talking about registered voter, the registrant.
Okay.
And now we have issued voter ID cards. On that day, without a voter ID card, you have your right to express your franchise. Section 41 states that without a voter ID card, you can still express your franchise. The commission will overcome its challenges and will deliver to the people of Sierra Leone an election that will be free, fair, transparent and credible. So an election the people of Sierra Leone will accept the outcome of it.
What does the commission or the law require of someone who has lost his or her card or hasn't picked up his or her voter ID card and wants to vote on that day?
You report to the commission. Action will be taken. But if you fail to report to the commission, as long as we have your name, your data in the registers of voter, trust me, the law says you will be allowed to vote. It is the law that controls the commission. Who manages the commission? The Board of Commissioners. The legal framework is what we use to conduct all election in process.
Okay.
We have the 2012 election, Public Elections Act. We have the 1991 Constitution, the Local Government Act, statutory instrument. All these books put together, what we call the legal framework, are used to conduct election.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, please.
How independent is NEC at this particular time? In conducting these elections. NEC has been very successful in conducting past elections, although we've had one or two, court cases with regards to results and everything. But this particular election has been one of the most difficult, according to some pundits. And we have been hearing that most probably there might be a change in the constitution with regards to the 55% vote. So, how independent are you, telling us, the people of this country, that you're not going to toe the line of the government or you are under pressure, especially now. They have said they are going to stop funding you on funding for a weekly basis because, so to speak, maybe you're not toeing the line or maybe you are not accountable. We just want you to give the facts from what we are hearing people saying in the streets.
NEC is an independent commission. And the commission greedily, jealously, will protect its independence. I will not bow down. We are in the kitchen, despite the smoke, despite the heat. We'll continue to cook the food and we'll serve it to the public without bowing down. We are not backing out.
Yes, but you have varieties of foods which people have. You have people up in the top class there who eat chicken and salad and spaghetti. You have those who are middle class who can be able to go and buy fried rice. And then you have those who basically eat gari or rice and cassava leaf every day.
Yes.
So we are talking about the quality and we're talking about credible elections which will put Sierra Leone on the map after 10 years of civil war, of having conducted a democratically elections. This is the problem which people are fearing.
The commission will continue to ensure that it conducts credible, transparent, free and fair elections. And when we talk about fair elections, it is not only the commission. There are other stakeholders that are involved.
Such as?
The media. If the media fail to go to the commission and get first-hand information and start publishing all sort of fake news, they will not be helping the situation. What about the police? If they fail to do their work correctly? What about abuse and misuse of incumbency? What about the political parties? What about you yourself, Dwight? If you have voted once, you intend to go and vote twice. We'll be helping the situation. We are playing our own role. And we are going to ensure that we conduct an election that will be transparent. Well, we are not conducting an election that is going to be a black bag election.
Antonio, he's just mentioned an important point, I think, which we should quiz him on with regards to voter rigging. How can you ensure with this kind of ID card?
Exactly.
We've been told now, because before, we don't want to go into that because you have been receiving the flack for an ID card which we know was supposed to have been done together with the national exactly, excuse me, but I'm coming. But now you have this voter ID card which we used to go to and take money in the bank, but this one is laminated. How can you ensure that this ID card cannot be reproduced, or how can you ensure that we don't have voter rigging in the country?
I went to the bank yesterday and I used it for bank transaction. Very okay with it.
Okay.
Nobody turned it down.
Okay.
Section 110 of the Public Elections Act states crime that will be committed if you print this one, if you have it in large quantities.
But if you had done a better one, would we be having a problem of people laminating?
The National Electoral Commission is a government institution. It's the responsibility of government to provide the requisite funds that are needed for us to conduct elections. We don't do business.
So if you don't have prerequisite funds, then you cannot provide the proper services. Is that what you're saying?
This was given to us by UNDP. Thank you, UNDP, for making this ID card available to the Commission. The Commission appreciates it. We are moving on. We have this voter ID card for election only.
Now, as we're moving on,
yes.
How can the Commission ensure that this ID card is not reprinted? People go into the centers and try to vote twice.
Will you do it? Let's be patriotic.
But you're aware that
will you do it?
Mr. Jones, I cannot allow you to ask Antonia if she will do it.
No, she will not do it.
Excuse me, you have been in the
we are not
excuse me. You have been in the commission for so many years. You won't tell us that you're not aware about vote rigging.
The commission is not a police force. There are laws. I told you before. We are guided, we are protected, we are controlled.
So is
by
the commission waiting for people to commit the crime, and then the law will then deal with those who commit the crime
so
after
we should stop conducting elections and start moving around, searching people's cars, searching people's places for those who are going to
we are not saying that.
What I'm asking is, what mechanisms does the commission have to ensure that people do not go and vote twice?
The commission has done this one. You know what is right?
The commission, or you said UNDP gave it to you?
If UNDP give it to us, who did they give it to? Is it not the commission, right?
Okay.
Come on.
But yet if they're giving it to the commission,
has got this one out. I know, and you know, we all know that this is what we should use for voting.
Okay.
If you leave this one and you want to print yours, That's your own business. If you are caught up with the law, you face the heat of the law.
After the crime would have been committed already.
Who said after the crime? We have the two offenses that to be committed. But we are not going to leave our job and start doing the job of the police.
Okay.
Everybody has his own job to do. We are responsible to conduct elections, referendum, divide silently the constituency and wards. We are not responsible to go and search people's places, look into your bags, for those who will be having extra voter ID cards in their bags.
Okay.
But you know very well that you are only entitled to one vote.
Okay.
And that's the right you have.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, please.
Now the government has decided to halt, provision of funds to you. How will that affect the running affairs of NEC at this particular time? Nomination, for chiefs is coming up in this month, as we speak right now. How will that affect your operations?
It's unfortunate, but the commission has taken a line of action. Let them go and look at Section 10 of the Public Elections Act, subsection 4. It says clearly who should audit the commission. But you are not advanced against auditing. Oh no, our books are in order. Our financial documents are in order. We are open to that. We are open to that.
Mr. Jones, are you trying to stop short of actually telling the government that they have reneged in their duties in providing funds, which has affected, the credibility of the elections which you are supposed to conduct?
You don't need to generalize. Each activity has been unfolding on itself credibly. So if you say...
Is funding affecting NEC? That's what simple question.
It's a challenge.
But
you have said that earlier before.
Is the commission failing to put that to the government?
How can the commission fail to put that to the commission when the government knows his responsibility is to provide the requisite funds for election to be conducted periodically and timely?
The government might know, may or may not know that that's the responsibility, but is the commission failing to put its foot down to say, you have not funded us and this is what we're going through and this is the result of lack of funding?
The commission has a very approachful method. And there's a very good rapport between the commission and the Ministry of Finance. And funds have been provided for the commission. And the commission are moving on.
Could it be that maybe the government and other international stakeholders are aware of certain issues within the commission which are not up to standard? Because you can remember there was some other time when we had some leaked documents which came out from NEC with regards to issues of the numbers of, I think, 34,000 or 41,000 issues of during the registration exercise. And also you have issues of workers who you employed to register. And even some of these ones now who have just finished the distribution exercise when they did not receive their remunerations or the money which they were employed for.
The commission gets its money from government and other donors. As we get the money, we pay our service providers. As we get the money, we pay our workers. We have completed payment to registration officers. Long since, right?
Okay, what about these ones about the distribution
When did they finish the
exercise?
job? It was yesterday.
Yesterday, yes.
They have signed contract form. We are going to pay them.
When are you going to pay
Pretty soon,
them?
right?
No, what do you mean by pretty soon? Come on, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, I don't want you to take us back during the days of
we are not playing games.
That adjective pretty soon should have been dusted
right,
and buried.
We are not playing games. We closed down distribution centers yesterday. Today we are back in the office. They will be paid. They will be paid. I tell you that.
But the
issue is not about whether they would be paid or not, because eventually they're going to be paid. But the question is, when will they be paid? Will we see maybe two weeks to elections? These people come out and start saying they have not been paid by the National Electoral Commission.
You will not hear any complaint from those that have distributed voter ID cards.
So when will they be paid?
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
Yes.
Now let's come to another issue. Now we're looking at these elections in which the government is trying on the cyberspace, the internet, the social media. We are seeing certain things now which contravenes certain sections within our constitutions, i.e. we see certain individuals who would be people who want to have symbols in political parties who are popular, having these ID card, which you are holding, hundreds of them in their apartment or in their house, okay? And they are the ones who are calling on people now to say that, oh, even if I'm not giving you the symbol, come and collect your ID card. Now we are seeing now these smartphones are around. will NEC allow people on voting day? Because some people, maybe they will give them money to go and vote, and then they will go with their phone in the polling booth and snap themselves, putting their finger or signing on APC or SLPP or ADP or NGC. Will the commission allow such a kind of thing on voting day?
The law in Public Elections Act states that it is secret ballot. Nobody is allowed to ask you, who did you vote for? Not even the court. So if you expose what is given to you as secret ballot, that's your personal. The commission has protected your privacy, has asked you to go behind the screen and mark the ballot.
What about in the polling station? Will you allow the electorate with phones to do videoing of activities within the...
It depends if the media or that person is an accredited person. If you are accredited by the commission, we allow you to observe the process, because observing the process, you have the credence to the process. But if you are not an accredited person, I am Mr. Jones, I went to cast my ballot, I have my phone with me, I want to take a picture of my own person, it depends on what the commission will say about it.
What about
because
somebody...
For every police station, there is a presiding officer. If you want to have a snapshot of the police station, then they will stop you. But if you are an accredited media person, you'll be allowed to go on and do your job, because you're helping to reporting the election process for National Electoral Commission and has adding credence to the process. So if you go and take a picture of you marking the ballot and expose it to the public, that's your own personnel. Because the law states that secret ballot, and nobody has the right to ask you, who did you vote for? Even when you make a mistake on the ballot paper, you want to change of the ballot paper, the presiding officer has no mandate to open the ballot paper and check who did you vote for. It has to close it and write at the back of it, error or spoiled. So that is purely your secret. Nobody has the right to ask you. It will be so undone for you to come up with the police to ask you, who did you vote for? That's uncivilized. It's against the law.
Tony?
All right. Going back to the ID card before we let you go. Now, you said the commission is not making any corrections when it comes to the data on the ID cards, but if someone has a mismatched photo or photoless card, then they can, seek redress. So what's the process of, fixing your ID card if you have a mismatched photo or a photoless ID card?
What did the law state? The names. The picture is there for identification. But I am Christopher A. Jones. It is slated in the registers of voter. That is the most sacred document for the commission. As long as you were registered within March 20 on to April 30th, you will be allowed to vote. Nobody is going to disenfranchise you come March 7. It's your right, given to you by the Constitution, and nobody will take it from you. So what we do, we pay attention to the register. Without a voter ID card, I go to the polling station. I tell the police sign officer, I am a registered voter, I registered here, I give my information. If seen, I am standing right in front of the police sign officer. He checks in the registers of voter, he sees the image there, looks at me personally, and says that this is Mr. Jones. I'll be allowed to cast my ballot.
Okay. Mr. Jones.
It's stated in the law.
Mr. Jones, there are many people in Freetown and in the interior who have not collected their ID cards, and maybe some of these people do not know these district offices which you're talking about. How, apart from us doing our duties in disseminating information, but maybe not everybody has a television or a radio, how would you be able to disseminate such information?
I can tell you for free. Everybody, you just go to the remotest village. Ask, I quote, show me the NEC office now, then we'll take you there. They know the office. It's a very important office.
So the whole of Freetown here, where are they supposed to go? Let's say you're in Congo Town or in Congo Cross or in Wilberforce. Do you have
39 General Road, at Waterloo, go to Chukuma Drive. It is there, the office is there, it's functioning. We have district electoral officers there. We have assistant district electoral officers there. We have the veto. We have 5 officers at each district office functioning every day, weekdays. They are there, 9 to 5.
So what about the training exercise for these polling agents and and those who will be in the polling booths on elections day, because during the registration exercise there were claims that some of the people who were trained were not actually that qualified, that certain relatives of individuals within NEC employed their relatives, and that is why we had so many problems with spelling mistakes, picture mistakes.
Because they deviated from the process that they were supposed to follow, and they, made their own way to, deal with the people very quickly so that they finish.
These allegations is not what I'm saying, it's what we are hearing people say.
These allegations. If my son is qualified for a job and I'm recruiting people, should I not recruit him?
Answer the question.
If
so that means so you are
listen.
You are saying
let's
be you're authenticating the claim.
Let's be real. For every activity we advertise. It's your responsibility. If you want a job, you apply. I'm just making a statement there, an isolated case, because an allegation is made against NEC using their families. If my son is qualified for the job and he applied for the job, should I not employ him? I will employ him.
Okay.
And for every activity, we have a whole department that does training. Training is a priority. And we train for every activity we train.
Is training on the way right now for polling agents? And
no, we have not come to that.
So when will it start?
Election is time bound. We are now looking at getting ready for nomination. Everything is a stage for nomination.
How can you do this thing now when you have been stopped, when the money is not forthcoming at the moment?
Right, I told you we are in the kitchen, we are preparing the food, despite the heat, despite the smoke, we are not backing out.
Mr.
We
Jones,
are going to serve the food to the public.
Can you answer the question and stop
I'm
giving
answering
us
the question.
This is something,
analogy.
It's an analogy. Listen, we are broadcasting here for the layman to understand.
Yes.
Some of these parables we know, but not everybody can understand. I know you are well learned. Can you cut it down, break it down for the people in this country?
Government is making so much effort to provide requisite funds. And that fund we are using judiciously, carefully. And we are getting on with our activities every day. But every activity is time bound. Let me just take you through what we are going to have next. We are getting ready for nomination, 6th to the 19th of January. Alongside that, we continue to distribute voter ID card at the district office. And we have the addresses of all the district offices in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
If you allow me, I'll go through that.
I think you should go through some of the district offices so people should know where they could collect their
Mr. Jones has
voter
deviated
ID
and
cards.
is going to take us through the calendar. Take us through the calendar, Mr. Jones.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Kalamu, Belabu section, Kalamu town. Kenema, you go to 59 on our Road by SLTU Kenema City. Kono, Ganifanya Street, Kodu City. Bombali, Azolini Highway, Makeni City. Koinadugu, Main Makeni Road, 1 mile, Kabala. Tonkolili, 15 Boys School Road, Maburuka Town. Potloko, 75 Lunge Road, Potloko City. Cambia, District City Council Area, 11 Kentepi Road, Cambia Town. Bo, 79 Tinkonko Road, Bo City. Bonf, 144 Bo Road, Matthew John, Bonf Island. Or 13 Calvin Lane, Bonf Island. Moyamba, 18 Kapenvi Street, Moyamba Town. Pujeun, 52 Bondapi Road, Pujeun Town. Western Rural, Chukuma Drive, Waterloo. Western Urban, 39 General Road. When we through with nomination, all political parties will be invited to the headquarters of NEC.
Okay.
In that meeting, they will ballot for campaign.
Okay.
That will be the formal preparation of the voting calendar, the campaign calendar, which will commence on the 4th of February and ends on the 5th of March. The 6th of March is cooling off period. No political parties allowed to do campaigning. So that will be the official time. What they are doing now, they are beating the gun. It's not yet time for campaign. Okay. They are yet to arrange themselves. They are yet to.
So have you communicated that to the PPRC?
That is the time of reference of the PPRC. They know that. We don't need to tell them that. That's the time of reference. We conduct elections and they regulate the activities of the political parties as enshrined in the Public Elections Act, Section 34.
But quickly, I think you've been in the NEC for so many years, and just to tell you that when you were reading those, it just made me remind me of Madam, what's her name? The former chief electoral
Senator.
Yes, when she was reading the results, she read it well, just like her. You know, I thought you were reading the results now and telling us who the winner is going to be. But really, Mr. Jones, you know, this is the first time I think NEC has had such problems with funding. I mean, seems to, having an adverse effect on you. But you are weathering the storm. Maintaining. Diplomacy and professionalism. This is the first time.
Yes. They're in the kitchen.
They're in the kitchen.
We are in the kitchen, indeed. We are in the kitchen. You see, because of our professionalism, we cannot start blowing the whistle every now and then. We'll be distracted. We refuse to be distracted. We want to focus on elections. So, despite the challenges, we are there.
Okay, so you've sent your records to the necessary, agencies or the organs which, the Ministry of Finance has asked you to present those documents so you can speedily have the funds come again.
Right. Our records are always straightforward. Our books are well kept. We have a whole Department of Finance and the Commission. And we make good use of money given to us. These are public funds. And our commission is transparent.
But if they were accessible, they wouldn't have asked for them and saying that they're going to stop the funds.
That's why I said it's unfortunate. Look at Section 10 of the Publication Act. Subsection 4, what it says. We give report annually. And ever in the history of this country, have we had the Audit Commission complain about NEC?
Okay, you are the spokesperson for Mfa Ali here. Are you sure that we're going to have elections on the 7th of March?
Why not? Election will be conducted in Sierra Leone, 7th March 2018, starting at 7 a.m. and ends at 5 p.m. by God's grace. And Mfa Conte and the Board of Commissioners are ready and are determined to conduct an election that will be free, fair, transparent, and credible. And the outcome of it, the result, will be welcomed by the people, the electorate. They have the sovereignty of power in their hands.
But, Mr. Jones, at this
please.
point where government has seized funding for the time being and have requested that you present your records, will the National Electoral Commission be able to continue with the processes and all the events they have on their calendar without
just in case
a continued
comes in
funding from the government at this particular point in time, moving on to March 7, 2018?
Government of Sierra Leone is ready and is determined to provide the requisite funds. They know very well it is their responsibility.
But as we speak now, funding has ceased, Mr. Jones.
No. The Minister of Defense is going back to look at his table, to look at the maps, what went wrong. Alongside, we are preparing for village elections. The first set of elections will be conducted December 29 along the Western Rural. 124 villages will be contesting for village heads.
Now,
stakeholders meeting on Saturday,
let me rephrase my question.
Go on.
If the government does not continue funding you at this point in time after they have seized, will we have elections March 7?
It's conditional.
Whether or not the government continues funding.
Conditional.
You say if, so it's conditional. I'm telling you.
That's the question.
I'm telling you authoritatively, the government will provide the requisite funds. It is their responsibility and they know what it means. When it is election, it's periodic. If you know you are going for 5 years, when your tenure ends, you have to come out and ask for fresh mandates.
You are banking on faith and hope in the government.
I'm not banking on faith.
That they
have been
continue funding.
10 billion every Monday. They will continue to do that.
But like I said, as we speak now, that has ceased and they have requested that you provide your records so that they can audit and go through and make sure that National Electoral Commission is accountable.
The minister will have to go back to the drawing board. He has been addressed. The Board of Commissioners have addressed that issue. We are going on with the activities. Saturday, the 9th, we are going to have stakeholders meeting for those contesting the village elections at the Western Rural. 29th of December, first set of elections. 124 villages will be contesting for villages.
I think we have to.
Funds will be provided by the government.
Thank you very
much.
We are
moving on.
I think we have to close Mr. Jones now. He's gone through a very rigorous session this morning.
I don't mind it. I have all the answers here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Mr. Christopher Jones.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to you this morning.
It's a pleasure having me here.
And as you've heard, the the process of distribution of voter ID cards has ended. It ended yesterday, but you can still pick up your voter ID cards from the district offices, and as Mr. Jones here has read the various distribution offices around the country. Stay tuned. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone, your #1 breakfast show. Be a part of the show. Send your text messages to 4488. We're taking a short break. We'll be back.
Come back home, the kabudu don't grab back. Inside a kabudu day, the good one then day, and the bad one then back day.
And we all know how we country done day now. If it's sweet, awa. If it's sour, you sabi. Now you wondering know if you dey eat bell full or you dey sleep hungry. You where you sus, now you go know if you dey born.
We the people and bang for help safe now. If we vote for good leader, we get love for the country and the people of Salone. We all go better. If we vote man, we come for can take. Well, he left to me. Now we get for so far.
I know ever even vote na me life. I go ibam this time. I swear to me life. If I know ever vote na me life, I go vote this time. I swear to me life. Rank a politician, no they can't ruin me life. Salone too sweet, so I enjoy me life. I am Peter, no they can't ruin me life. Salone too sweet, so I enjoy me life. Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. They send me one green vote for Turay Park. Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. Send me one green vote for one bad dress. Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. They vote say because we born a McKinney, Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. Say because we born a Kenema.
I want him to laugh mama ki ante pa.
Talk to we will make we hear.
Machi ma gonta ne ndo what you want to mota.
Tell the people me.
Say rason sa zemba monte batata. Ngate ne sakalom tena ta fasu ko korin ti bankata.
Tell we bo make we.
Kera ka bande amma ki e telo from me do kom. Ude ke mire makata matimba. Mineng munang. Awa mit dem ne mut dem ne kon dem ne. Sato be zat dem ne. Sasa sala ka matabris ko makata matimba. Awa inem tene mamu sasa sala ka makata.
Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. Send me one green vote for Turay Park. Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. Send me one green vote for one bad dress. Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. They vote say because we born a McKinney, Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. They vote say because we born a Kenema.
We want to see changes from the grass to the roots. With manifestos, we get plans for the youth. We tired with the lies, now we stand for the truth. We need chef, we go change the taste of the soup. Why? Wait them read for shape t-shirt and a shobi for go rally. Then go member we. After election and take power, give the power them. When we talk, they for them but we. Then go give we bitter cola for go campaign. Where they win them and the family pop champagne. We no go fet for no politician again. This time we go land. We no one die campaign. Mind box side diamond now we land. For pay fee, papa no get dime na in hand. We want more youth, a woman then a power. Parliament, a cabinet, more mommy na power.
Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. Send me one green vote for Turay Park. Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. Send me one green vote for one bad dress.
Dimanya muimu kama monyonyo. Samia penga mule magoma Inawile kama kanya nevele ama. Chimi akwe mu malama Konele baja sinyama o. Jifa mwambie mubwe kenye yo. Yena we amwambie na fae. Mule mambo makwele mae. Wakenya na mikrobe. Kongwele juhu wa mae. Kenye ya ewini krobe. Na vianyane. Kamukwe mubla. Tau heba Kenya huwoyo. Dwe ya grama agramu pero
vote na me life, I go ibam this time, I swear to me life. If I no ever vote na me life, I go vote this time, I swear to me life. Rank a politician, no they can't ruin me life. Salone too sweet, so I enjoy me life. I am Peter, no they can't ruin me life. Salone too sweet, so I enjoy me life. Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. They send me one green vote for Turay Park. Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. Send me one green vote for one bad dress. Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. They vote say because we born a McKinney, Me voting na me life, me voting na me life. Say because we born a Kenema.
So, the next 5 years, you vote now you live. Anybody we want lead we, it gets for declaring assets.
Not to pambado, and for make somebody know kind of power match 2018, and after 2 years, it grab go by Wataki, and when we talk, it's then Papa Daile Fangia.
We say thanks to a collective effort of the Standing Together for Democracy Consortium,
Gallant civil society partners, the Sierra Leone Media Interreligious Council, and
Institute for Governance Reform and Civil Society Groups for Upholding Democracy and Free and Fair Elections in Sierra Leone.
All right. Well, welcome back. The program is Wake Up Sierra Leone live on Africa Young Voices Television on channel 33. Me vote na me life. I like that song, you know.
Such a nice song. And it carries a very strong message as well.
Although, I don't know, it's just that these days, I mean, people try to politicize the musicians, I mean, who are singing the songs, even though maybe the song wouldn't have a political content in it, so to speak.
Well, we've seen a few musicians declaring support for political parties.
And journalists as well.
You know, so sometimes
because
people...
I understand one of our colleague journalists is going to stand for member of parliament for one.
Well, we wait to report the news.
Yes, we will report it. Yeah. Let's not let the cat out of the bag.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we hope you're having a wonderful time. And, of course, you must be up and about right now trying to make your contribution to Mama Salon. We'll move to our next issue. Well, the President, Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, has reshuffled his cabinet once more, making changes in 4 key ministries. Key amongst the appointments were Dr. Alpha Kanu as Minister of Information and Communication, retired Major Paulo Conte as Minister of Defense, Dr. Kyle Fala Mara as Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Corporations, and Major Ismail Sengu Koroma as Minister of Internal Affairs. Well, we've had also some more appointments. Well, this morning, to analyze the cabinet reshuffled by the President and to look at the relevance of it, we have in the studio as well 2 civil society activists and political and media commentators in the person of Thomas Babadi and Mahmoud Tim Kagbo. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to Wake Up Sierra Leone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Duane.
I think I'll start off with you, Mr. Thomas Babadi. I mean, with just 3 months to the presidential and general elections, and just a week after we saw the change of guard in the security apparatus in this country, now we've seen another cabinet reshuffle. What do you make of such a move by His Excellency the President, as is normally in the press releases, which it says it pleases His Excellency the President to make certain amendments or appointments within, the government itself?
It is constitutional for the President to hire and fire, relieve, change, bring in, make amendment, adjustment in his cabinet. That's why he was elected as a president. So it's a prerogative of the president. And secondly, let me say this again, the president does not need to appoint ministers for every other ministry. It is considered that he has 3 imperative ministries that he should appoint ministers: Attorney General, Finance, and Foreign Affairs. No vacuum be in those 3 ministries. That is the constitutional mandate. I can't remember the exact section of the constitution, but these are the 3 ministries that are entrenched. They have entrenched clauses. Now, any other ministry is manned by the president himself. But again, going forward, I think from the security apparatus right to the administration and the executive. Now, Mr. President, I'm sure, want to go into elections with new hands.
Okay.
Fresh ideas to go into the elections so that there will be no distraction, no disturbance. We have on each 3 elections. For example, in the security apparatus, I think Mr. IG Moon was overdue, long overdue, 2 years ago.
Why do you say that?
Yeah, it was long overdue because of age. That means age 1. Number 2, a lot of things happened around him. And so we were thinking that Mr. President should have done this long ago and not now. But again, it's happening now, so it pleases him because he was appointed. That is his own mandate to do, and not us. We're just advising him, and Parliament to back him up to do so. Yeah. Secondly, coming to the cabinet reshuffle. Yeah. Foreign affairs should not be left aloof because the presidential candidates to
So that was inevitable anyway.
It's inevitable. It's so, of course.
Everybody was expecting that.
Yeah, but who was going to fill the vacuum? I was thinking, who is that person? Is it John Cisse, Pepito, Kaifala Mara? These are all questions that we used to ask.
Well, before we usher in Mamutim Kagbo, one would say that the issue of Pepito, Mr. Alemami, former ambassador to China, Alemami Pepito Koroma, the issue of course, Dr. Alhaji Alpha Kano, otherwise known as the apprentice, the issue of Kaifala Mara, who was the former bank governor and retired to be a flag bearer, and one or two other people was, so to speak, like a compensation because they lost, the flag bearership position at the convention, which some critics are saying was a disaster because Samura Kamara was not well known, and everybody is expecting those in names, to have been given that position.
I wonder why people are saying Samura Kamara is not well known. Is he supposed to be known, or is it the party he represents? Because if you want to become presidential candidate, you must belong to a political party. So the political party projects you, and not you projecting your own personal image. If you think you're popular, go and form a political party. Yeah, and see what happens. Yeah, it's the party that markets you, and not you marketing yourself.
So are you quoting what President Koroma said at the youth conference in Port Loko district, where he did say that they see some people and they cook small cook with a big cook no kite?
That is it, that is it. But again, it's up to the APC themselves, to manage the station. But I think they should repackage Samuel Kamara, repackage and marketing.
Why should they repackage him when you say
he's repackage him? Because he's a technocrat. Again, that's my opinion and position. He is a technocrat. He's not a politician. The way he behaves, the way he talks, at the moment he's never interfaced with the media. He's still shying away from the media. He's a technocrat. So technical enough in his job. Studious guy, I know very well, but he's not a politician like Cherry Kuku or Anis Kuma himself.
Okay.
Going forward, you're talking about I can't remember what you're saying just now.
Compensation.
Compensation
to the flag bearers who
I was thinking that it's not about compensation. It's about telling them that yes, this is your party. You belong to my party, and I love you guys. But again, in terms of winning the entire population, I need somebody who I think I trust. Somebody who I think can perform well, can deliver properly, who is known internationally and locally, who has no stain or something like bags around him. Secondly, I think this should be a precedent set. Look at what happened in 2005 after the SAP convention. We all privy to that.
Okay.
3 ministers were sacked. 3 cabinet ministers were sacked for reasons best known to the president himself. After the convention, those who contested, J.B. Dauda, Tozma, O. Grant, who nominated him, Charles Magai, they were sacked, relieved of their duty. So Pakaba said, okay, I'll make them my advisors. They were there as advisors.
So do you think that the same thing that happened to, I know you're going to come in with Mahmoud
Yes,
Tim
I was
Kagbo.
just going to bring
the same
Tim
thing
in.
that happened. Yes, go ahead.
Right. Now, President Koroma has reshuffled his cabinet several times within his term as president of Sierra Leone. Now, at this particular point in time, he has appointed members of his party who had contested for the flag bearer position. And people are speculating that this was sort of a bargain he made with those who had contested, but he did not give the flag bearership to. What do you think about that, Tim?
Well, it's just true. You have to look at it in this way. Yes, it is good for His Excellency the President to appoint based on the Constitution. That is a very nice step. But again, the other thing that you need to take into consideration is whether these old players that they keep on recycling within the team, can deliver.
What do you mean by old players?
They are all old politicians that he has within his own. I mean precisely what I'm saying here. They are all old politicians and they are within his own team. They've worked with him, and yet there is not much the people of this country can boast about when you talk about taking into consideration achievement-wise. So it is good for him to build up a team that he believes that can help him get his own goal, especially just like my co-panelist here is talking, that they need to repackage the presidential aspirant of the APC. Notwithstanding, Will the people trust these guys that he keep on recycling around? Do they have that clout again within the people?
Mr. Mahmoud Simkagbo, you're talking about somebody who has been in the financial sector for many years. You're talking as somebody who has been the Minister of Finance. You're talking about somebody who is current or who has just been, he was the former Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. These are positions which has the clout of you speaking at the United Nations, speaking at international conferences, talking about economics, which I know you're very good in. So how can you say he needs to be repackaged?
Well, I'm not saying, I'm just agreeing with what Mr. Babadi is saying. Yeah, that is true. We're talking about these issues, based on his own profession. He's not a politician that he has to take into consideration. He is a professional in his own right. He's a very good economist that we know. He's been addressing international conferences that we know as a diplomat, but not as a politician. So there was a clear line drawn between a diplomat and a politician.
President Nkrumah was an insurer.
Yeah, he was, but he has that political clout as well. So that helped him propagate himself to this particular level.
Okay.
Now, when both of you have mentioned that he is not a politician, so I'm going to try to feed off what you mean by a politician in this case. What would you define as a politician that Dr. Samora Kamara is not? So, what is a politician, or who is a politician?
Your character. Interface with the people. Samora Kamara has never in any time going to the UN, addressing the UN, representing the president at any international conference, address members of the APC. 1. 2, you hardly see him in APC party office. People are saying. 3, he's never been in any big gathering.
Well, but excuse me. No, I will not allow you because Dr. Samora Kamara just came back from La Côte d'Ivoire. No, I just came back from La Côte d'Ivoire and the Gambia with President Nkrumah. And he's also attended UN meetings and other meetings.
He has never addressed APC. APC, not Sierra Leoneans. APC gathering. Okay,
your own opinion about who a politician is.
Yeah, going from La Côte d'Ivoire, the Gambia is very different from addressing the grassroots of that form the bulk of the voting population in the country. So these are some of the things you need to understand precisely. Yes, of course, they agree. I believe the APC themselves agree. Moving around with President Nkrumah, what they need to understand is President Nkrumah is not going to contest. So if you say you bank in your popularity to President Nkrumah, then we want to see precisely, what are the evidences or empirical evidences that are there for you to sustain governance. The bottom line is, if just like I do agree with my co-panelist here, is that if they want to sustain governance, yes, indeed, they need to allow him, give him the free hands, not with Mr. President, let him move around.
Can I just come in quickly? Mohamed Kamarima Mansari came from the United States. He's a politician. The Dr. Kande Yumkela, who studied agroeconomics at Jala, and later he's doing sustainable development and has headed UNIDO, okay, is so to speak a technocrat, but now he's a politician. Look at him up at in Bo and in Cambia and other areas, pulling crowds. I mean, as a politician, we are talking about other people in these other political parties, okay, who we do not know, but they are politicians.
Bring it on. Then you show the characterization here that it is different.
But Dr. Samora Kamara addressed the APC convention in Makeni when he was announced.
That was his first time.
But there's always a first time.
Secondly, Dr. Kande Yumkela was student leader at Injala.
Okay.
He was senior prefect at CKC. He became minister, Secretary of State under NPRC for almost 18 months. And he left. Went to Glasgow, lectured there, applied for the UN, started working. Yeah, working in the UN means, of course, you have some political clout.
Okay.
Now, Samora Kamara has been in IMF and World Bank, was seconded by IMF to NPRC. Yeah, later to the SLV. That we agree. He has been a technocrat throughout.
Okay, let's go straight to the discussion. You are in favor of the cabinet reshuffle, and you are against. We have in the cabinet reshuffle some new first-timers. Okay, we see, well, and Mama Vandy is, well, so to speak, has been there, but we see the relative, well, we are not sure, but they have the same surname, in the person of Opel Sansumana, who has been made the Deputy Minister of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs, and we have one Mr. Brahma Kamara also, who has also been given, positions. These are new timers, okay, and we see our own minister, who has now been sent to be advisor to His Excellency the President in the person of Mohammed Bangura. Okay, and we are seeing that Alpha Khan, okay, the apprentice, otherwise known as the Vuvuzela, APC Vuvuzela, has been brought into the ministry. This kind of, I wanted to you to discuss, don't you think it's a wise strategic move by President Nkrumah to restructure the PR system of the APC, because he has to meet to the likes of the Limas, the likes of the Kande Yumkelas, the JJ Safars, the Imram Silars, and other people in political parties, and of course Mohamed Kamarimba Mansari, who is a very articulate speaker.
It's a very good, it's a very articulate speaker on the part of Cameroon, but that is questionable. But let me just go straight to your point. The issue is yes, of course, the APC was seriously suffering from a PR disaster problem. That we know for sure. It is good for them to bring in someone with that vast experience, to come again. But again, what we need to take into consideration is whether the man that is now there, Dr. Alpha Khan, whether he has whether he can match up to this particular challenge. Because what we need to take into consideration is, before he left that particular ministry, there was a time when Alpha Khan was talking, people weren't treating him seriously.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Precisely what I'm saying. They say he's a propagandist. He keep on formulating issues. That he distanced himself from the reality, from the prevailing situation.
Of Dr. Alpha Khan and the late man from Kailaun,
Tambasam, yeah.
Those were the days when...
Yeah, those were the days. That is what I'm saying.
So
but before he left the ministry, before he was relieved from that particular ministry to work to State House as a presidential advisor again, he already lost his following. People were even doubting most of his comments.
Do you agree with that, Babadi?
Well, in politics, Alpha Khan is a very good speaker for me. I think eloquent speaker. He can speak economics, agriculture, mathematics, theology, the Bible and Quran. He's vast experience. So they need a person like him at the moment.
Is this a way of the president saying, okay, is the way of showing that he didn't think that these people, Dr. Alpha Khan, Dr. Kaifala Mara, all those who contested for flag bearer position, is this a way of telling them that, look, I don't think you are fit to be flag bearer for the party or to be president, but you can have a seat in my cabinet?
No, but you can't have all of them to become presidential candidates. You have one presidential candidate. I had you interviewing Abega here the last time. So you only have one president at a time. You only have one candidate at a time to go in for elections. SLP, one. APC, one. NGC, like that. PDP, you only have one candidate going at a time. Now the others, you wait. And it's like Nkrumah himself, came in 2001, 2003 was, nominated. He was the one. So that is it.
These are people who actually sought and campaigned hard to fight for the position of flag bearer. Yet President Nkrumah chose someone who wasn't really campaigning or wasn't really that hard on looking for the position.
As a dedicated Christian, this Sunday my pastor was preaching, and he quoted that scripture, Psalm 63 verse 11, that once have I spoken, twice have I had, that power belongs to God, not to man. I was thinking about the Josie, Jeff Key, the John CC, the Kaifala Mara, the Sam CC, who's a very educated guy, we don't blemish image. Look at them all. All of them were given the opportunity. Look at Turay and say Kamal, who were all over the place talking at that time.
Some critics will say that this is a philosophy within the APC party, which they should have taken consideration of for many years. In the history of the APC, they have the tendency to take people from nowhere. If you take, for example,
Exactly.
I mean, you
because
of the Constitution, the 1995 Constitution.
Then again, we need to take into consideration
of the APC. Look at the APC and SVP. Watch the tradition and follow them. That's how it operates. That's how they've been operating for the past 40 years.
Okay, hold on. Yes.
Okay. If anyone is using that particular particular reference as a part of as an excuse on this particular issue, then you need to know precisely that he is not learning from his past. Because I mean, the APC experienced a very bitter experience back then. When President Momo was brought in from nowhere, he didn't go through the normal APC routine and was single-handedly brought in by President Shark Stephen. It was a bitter experience by then, and it's led to the exit of the...
So do you see that as reoccurring right now?
Yeah.
Because we spoke earlier on, which I wanted just to zero in on. I mean, you spoke about President Kaba when he was about to leave. He made certain adjustments, cabinet reshuffles, which saw Mr. Berewa losing the elections, and we are seeing similar things happening within the APC. I mean, do you think that this move at this 13th hour could overturn things for, the other political parties, so to speak?
It can. I consider this move as a process for the APC battling to sustain governance or to save its lives. But, whether they are coming in with a clean faith or arms to serve the party genuinely, that's another thing that you need to take into consideration. We don't know precisely what will happen. They are human beings.
Speaking of learning from the past, we see the retired Major Paulo Conte, who was the Minister of Defense, but he was moved to another ministry.
Internal Affairs?
No, he was moved to Internal Affairs, and now he's been brought back to
just recycling.
Well, I think it's a team. You work with those you believe. I don't work with you if I don't believe at all. I've worked in the NGO for almost 11 years now. 11 years, this 2017. 11 years in the NGO world. If the donor does not believe you, not trust you, I care not if you write whatever the most powerful English in the world, impeccable English you write. They'll look at the proposal and say, no, I don't know him. The person I know just write just 2 sentences, no, accept him. That is it. Okay. It's the same. It's the same. I can't work with you if I don't know you at all. That is why in Nigeria, they have what is called the National Character Act. We need to, for example, I see this as a very big blow to us. The Constitutional Review does not even recommend that the winner takes all. That's the problem with that country. Can we reverse that? The winner takes all syndrome. We can go back and review those issues.
But you guys, quickly, because we have to close down, they didn't zero in on the appointment of the Deputy Minister of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs in the
They don't need a deputy anymore.
Okay.
I wonder.
But now the name of itself, Sam Sumana, bringing in, just to, so to speak.
I'm afraid having a deputy at social welfare. 2 times. I'm afraid having a deputy. What will happen? Again. But I advise that they maintain themselves. Look at the image of President Kuma. Look at the legacy that people say he's leaving behind. Look at what he has done over the years for persons with disability, the children, the aged, and women.
What about the deputy? What about the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs, Major Sengu Kuroma?
That was a shock to me, bringing ARA again from defense.
A southerner going into the Internal Affairs. A southerner taking up the position of the Sierra Leone police, so to speak.
An easterner.
An easterner.
He's from Kenema, and that was really amazing. It's a balance of,
well, that's very balanced, again, but it doesn't really make any difference. That I can just assure the people of Sierra Leone.
That's a difference.
Can I just land here? What we need to understand is you are seeing that the Social Welfare Ministry
doesn't need a deputy.
Yeah, doesn't need any deputy. No, I respectfully disagree with you. Yeah, I think they need a deputy. All we need to say, all they need is a proper leadership that can look into the different, learn from the past, and then try to arbitrate on the issues, the past issues, and correct those mistakes. Again, on the issue of having a deputy from the east, again, I think from Kono district, or maybe by the name, I don't know how to reason.
So do you think this political appointments were made on the productivity side of people who can efficiently deliver the goods, or are we looking at political demographics in the sense that Sansomana, this Sansomana, we don't know him. He's from Kono, and you know that the other Sansomana
was
yes,
also
from Kono. I'm sure they are relatives. You know, that's a household name. The chieftain's name in the East. Of course, Kono precisely.
Well, being them a relative or not, what I believe is very much important here. I mean, they just try to save their neck on the entire issue, to try to build a formidable team that can
So
face
are you
the
saying
election.
that the APC government is saving their neck right now?
That is what I believe in. Whether they will be productive, so many questions we need to ask. How can they be productive within the shortest time possible? No, because soon they will be concentrating on the elections, campaigning here and there. So the issue of being productive, I don't see anything like that. The bottom line is to appease the people, who felt, aggrieved, compensating them, who felt aggrieved that these are your relatives. I think that was the most important.
Compensation.
Well, for me, I don't think so at all. Who is Sam Sumana? Who is Major Ishmael Kolma? Ask those questions from the East. What can they bring to the table? But again, it's like
I think Sam will have something to bring to the table.
Can you allow me, Babadi, to land, please?
You feel in vacuum. President Kaba appointed John Benjamin after the convention in McKinney, 2005, and you leave James Dowda. I mean, this guy, this I can't
Momo Puje?
Not this.
Or the Agriculture Minister, Dr. Ariel?
No, not High-Wheel, Tosman, Ogrant. Was he leave and he placed by somebody else. Blake, we saw Blake. Was also replaced, at that time. To fill in vacuum so effectively. Campaign is different from governance. You go to campaign, it's the APC that's going to campaign. It is not the government of Sierra Leone. And so let's distinguish the two. Secondly, the only thing that I have problem with is that, of course, there is no law at the moment, and we've talked to NEC, talked to BPRC, but to see reason. Can we distinguish, party politics from governance? One. Two, can we have a law that would debar the incumbent from using state resource to campaign? Like in the UK, Theresa May used his private vehicles and everything, paid up to campaign. In America, Obama uses Air Force One to go elected to campaign. That is using state resources. Yeah, that's what they're banking on now. So we are asking that in the future, maybe before the next elections, let's have a law. The people actually said they sent that to Parliament. It was thrown out of Parliament in 2012.
Okay.
That's my envelope.
Yes.
We have to close now, gentlemen. It's almost 10, or past 10 actually. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. And this is where we wrap up today's show. A big thanks to our studio guests for joining us to discuss the issues that matter to you. Now, before we take our leave, here's a quote which is from the 30th President of the United States, and he is a Republican lawyer from Vermont, Calvin Coolidge, who says, "All growth depends upon activity. There is no development physically or intellectually without effort, and effort means work."
Right, and it's been an engaging 2 hours here on the Wake Up Sierra Leone for today. Thanks for being part of today's show. We also thank the Wake Up Sierra Leone team for making this show what it is. I hope you had a wonderful time with us. Do join us tomorrow from 8 a.m. for more exclusive interviews and entertaining updates. My name is Dwight Neal. Have a great Tuesday.
And I'm Antonia Howard saying thanks for watching, and do stay with us.
You're watching AYV Television.